Okay, so now our pipeline ran successfully. Hopefully you guys did as well. And it was quite quick. It only took 12 minutes. And now we can have a look at the output. So I use a program called CyberDuck just to so I can look at the results easily. In the pipeline info folder that would have been created, that's where you'll find your data to reports, which we looked at in a previous session. And you'll see all the processes succeeded. It summarizes our Nextflow command, the resources used, and if you double click on this, it'll open it in a browser for you, and you can look at the resources, tasks, and so on. Then we have the Chimera taxonomy folder, and that is where the your ASV table and your taxonomy table, so the tax underscore final would be your taxonomy, this would be your ASV table, and that you can import into R for downstream analyses. And then in this pipeline, we've also created a phylogenetic tree in the alignment folder, and there's a tree.gtr.newig that you can use downstream and also import into R for further analyses. Another useful output from this pipeline is read tracking. So it'll, for every sample, track what happens to reads throughout the pipeline. So this dog1 r1.FASCII, we can see how many input reads, and then it got filtered, denoised, merged, and chimeras removed, and the final number of reads that we end up with. So that is useful if you're busy with your filtering and trimming and you want to see what effect changing parameters have on filtering your data. And then another report that's really useful is the multi-QC report that gets created when you run FastQC, both on the raw data and after filtering and trimming. So here we can look at the report after we've done our filtering and trimming. And this is really very useful. It gives you all your statistics, level of duplication, sequence counts, quality histograms. So here you can see the Fred scores and what your sequences look like now. So before, maybe we had some heavy tails here into the red, and that's why we truncated them here. Gives you a nice quick overview to see if your trimming was successful or whether you need to try and test other parameters. So then finally, I'd just like to show you guys an example of having to troubleshoot when your pipeline does have an error and where to look. So maybe we'll take our reference taxonomy database and specify the wrong file path. So let's see how Nextflow copes with that. So it launches the pipeline like it normally would, starts running the processes. So now if I let the pipeline run, I can see there's in red a command exit status, and it gives me the error. So it says data, ref data, no such file or directory. So I immediately know where to go look for my error. And then importantly, if the error is not as transparent as this one, then you can go look in the work directory created by Nextflow for every process. So if we have a look in that directory, there are a bunch of hidden files. So command.run, command.sh, command.log. So often you'll want to go look in the command.sh file and see you know, what is the code that actually was run, or in the error file, where you can see clearly that this file was not found, and then you know where to go look for your error. To summarize how to interpret your Nextflow pipeline output, so we saw what a successful pipeline execution looked like. It'll tell you how many processes succeeded, and it'll be coded in green. You'll have your Nextflow report that you can also pull up, where it'll tell you that the workflow succeeded, and there you can also see how much resources each process used and whether you need to adjust this on your own cluster. And then the results can be found in your individual output folders that were built as part of every process, so we can go get our output files that we need for downstream analyses in R. And if the pipeline happens to fail with an error, Nextflow will guide you to what that error was, and it will point you to the working directory for that specific process so that you can actually go and review those individual files. For instance, you can do bash.command.run, and that will run that specific job, so you can work only on that job. So if you have an error, first inspect the .nextflow.log file. So that's a hidden file. It starts with a dot, and that you'll find in the directory where your pipeline was launched. And you find the relevant working directory, so that's listed here in the Nextflow output, and then inspect those individual run files, and then you should be able to find the error fairly quickly. So that's it for our Nextflow pipeline demonstration. I hope you found it useful and that it's something that you can apply to your own research, whether you're using this pipeline or whether you'll be building your own. It really is worth the time investment.